What city you would like to visit but currently isn't too safe? Outside of literal war areas, you are good to go. From New York to Gary, from Chicago to Memphis, from LA to STL, from ATL to Detroit. All these dangerous areas. Mind your own business. Random crime does happen, so it's not impossible. But, I've never been in a gang shootout in South Chicago because I'm not in a gang from South Chicago, and my purpose of a visit to Chicago was never to go to South Chicago to buy drugs or guns. Safe, but San Fran. I've always been enchanted by the allure of its charm, but it's been wholly mismanaged into a fetid crap hole where anything goes. If you visit our San Francisco, half the sub says there's nothing wrong and denies the blatant issues plaguing the once great city. The other half calls out the nonsense, which to their credit is unignorable unless you are completely sheltered and ignorant. I love how the top answers are literal war zones, and then you scroll a bit and it's people who watch way too much Fox News saying San Francisco has problems, exacerbated by the pandemic and growing wealth inequality, but unsafe? Unless your definition of unsafe is I might see some poverty or homeless people, then San Francisco is plenty safe, and a beautiful place to visit. As a queer person who's married and with a baby on the way, I unfortunately think about this a lot. There are a lot of countries right now swinging towards a very radical right, especially when it comes to LGBT issues. Countries I never would have thought twice really about going to. My hard no list at the moment is mainly Jamaica and St. Lucia, Paris. But apparently it's been unsafe for decades. As a child we watched Facts of Life go to Paris. I had dreams of romance. But it's not what's in the movies. The mental disorder Paris derangement syndrome was created for people who experience mental issues because of what the real Paris is. Ciudad Juárez, Mexico. Millions of tourists visit Mexico every year, but violent organized crime makes it a more dangerous destination for travelers. Many crimes go unpunished because of police corruption, as officers are often employed or paid off by drug cartels. Chicago. Loved going to concerts all over town pre-pandemic, but too much random crime shootings etc. going on for me to feel relaxed about being there. Or maybe I'm just getting old. Not feeling 10 feet tall and bulletproof anymore. Cities don't bother me. It's those redneck towns where everyone stares at you because you're not white, probably a cop that's not a local cop and not from around here, and definitely not from around here. I used to love taking the family to San Francisco for a day or two every year. It used to be one of my fave destinations. It's gone really downhill regardless of what some folks would have you believe. Tijuana. It's the city I'm most curious about. I watch a TV series on Netflix just because its name is Tijuana. It's probably not a place to be psyched about, but I am nonetheless for some reason. Cartagena. My insurance company will void all of my policies if I travel to any country above a level 2 advisory, and should I travel to a level 2 country I need additional policies and security. Israel. I went for work a few months ago, and fell in love with the country. Ease of transportation from Jerusalem to Tel Aviv, the food markets, the beaches, and the women are gorgeous. Russia. Brazil. Also Egypt, cause last I heard it wasn't that safe. Unsure of Morocco's situation. Edit read country instead of city. St. Petersburg and Moscow, Rio de Janeiro, Cairo, Rabat. Anyone there? I need a partner to visit North Korea along with me and kill that fat fellow. Upvote if you really feel sorry for North Koreans. They were not meant to live in hell. Giza. The pyramids and local history are fascinating to me, but it sounds like a bad time in between the hotels and historical sites, especially if you look foreign. Tehran has been on my bucket list for a long time. I think it's doable, but my wife and kids have no desire to go there, and my wife won't let me travel alone. Yemen. My parents lived in Aden during the 60s and still go on about how beautiful it is. Also my dad visited an island with crazy alien looking plants. Would love to visit America, but with the crazy hypersensitive pride Karens there and the stop oil idiots, I don't think my anger will make them safe. Somalia is on my list. I'm a bit fascinated, curious how the day-to-day is there, but as an American, it doesn't seem very safe right now. Any city in Mexico. Looks absolutely beautiful, love the culture, and love Mexican food. Too many risks though for my liking right now. Chernobyl. And so sad cause I really wanted to go, but they had an 18 age limit for tours in the exclusion zone. I only hit 18 last year. I've always wanted to go and see the pyramids in Egypt, but have heard terrible things about being a female tourist in that country. Jerusalem and Ramallah. Ramallah being my hometown, and Jerusalem being our Holy Land. both in Palestine for those who didn't know. Typically, the only places I do want to visit are ones that are safe. But Jerusalem would be nice to visit, culturally speaking. St. Petersburg, Russia. I've always wanted to see the White Nights Festival after reading about it in Leo Tolstoy's War and Peace. I've always been curious to talk around and take photos in North Korea, but I don't want to come home brain dead years later. Definitely Pyongyang. I am so curious. But they have controlled excursions and they seem to be going okay, so maybe soon. Anywhere in America. Was tempted at this to go and visit my friend's sister with her but nope, out at the last minute. I've wanted to see Chernobyl for a very long time now. I've watched so many documentaries. Wild place frozen in history. Not really answering the question, but I really want to go to China and Turkey before those are too dangerous to go to. Los Angeles. My grandparents live up 5 hours away and I've always wanted to visit Santa Monica Pier as a big GTA fan. Kyiv. My great-grandfather immigrated to Canada from Ukraine in the late 20s or early 30s. Would love to visit one day. I'd love to tour all of Northern Africa, from Morocco to Egypt. The history and cultures have always fascinated me. I feel like a lot of people are just putting unsafe cities but don't actually have any desire to go to them. Lol. Cairo. Would love to see the pyramids before I die but it's pretty rough there from people I've heard from. I want to go to Lima, but I heard there were anti-government protests there. Maybe it's over though. Cairo. Unfortunately every travel forum I read always warns against going these days. Maybe one day. There's a few places in Nicaragua and El Salvador I want to visit, but putting it off because of Zika. While I love to visit Rio de Janeiro, I've heard that safety can be a concern in certain areas. Some of these places are perfectly safe. Y'all must have a really low tolerance for risk. As a non-white person, most cities feel unsafe to me, especially in the current climate. Kyiv. Should Ukraine win the war I'll for sure to be among the first tourists there. I've heard St. Petersburg is beautiful and would love to visit the Hermitage Museum. I've always wanted to visit Moscow but obviously right now that is not a good idea. Timbuktu. I mean, Mali at large is my dream destination, but especially Timbuktu. Odessa in Ukraine. I seriously want to explore the catacombs beneath the city. Paris, France. Paris, the city of light, was by far the overwhelming favorite. Rock bottom. The public transportation has been really unsafe lately too. St. Petersburg. Here's to hoping Russia chills out in my lifetime. Diamond City. The city itself is safe enough but the suburbs are rough. Asmara, in Eritrea. Phenomenal Italian Art Deco architecture there. The city where I live, I mostly stay indoors, especially after dark. Lindel, Ashen capital. But I'm too low of a level right now. Zaporizhzhia Ukraine and Kyiv Ukraine my family lives there. Paris. I'm not bringing bedbugs home with me thank you. Moscow, my hometown. But I'll be jailed straight away. Gaza City. I read that their falafels are to die for. Paris, Pince-a-Face, both my friend and cousin got mugged out there. Paris. When I was young but don't remember a lot.